Good evening and welcome. CPR, the Department of Classics, Philosophy and Religion at University of Mary Washington, together with the Departments of Political Science and International Affairs, English, Linguistics and Communication, Theater and Dance, Sociology and Anthropology, the Office of the President, the Campus Academic Resources Committee, the Lydecker Center for Asian Studies, the Fredericksburg Council of the Statute of Virginia for Religious Freedom, and private sponsors, is delighted and excited to welcome you to this most special evening. You cannot read this version of Jefferson's Statute of Virginia for Religious Freedom from afar, but you don't need to. The text is printed in your program. Our moderator tonight is Professor of Religion Mary Beth Matthews. Our conversation in celebration of Thomas Jefferson's statute is between and with two great scholars, two remarkable persons, and two friends of Mary Washington. If I count correctly, this is Professor Marty's third visit and Professor Nasr's fourth. We are proud of and honored by this association. And now, another friend of Mary Washington and our friend, President Rick Hurley.
Good evening. Thank you, David, and thank you to everyone in the audience for coming out tonight to hear a program that I believe is going to be both interesting and educational. I want to welcome you to the University of Mary Washington and to tonight's program, which marks the 9th year in a row we have commemorated Thomas Jefferson's Virginia Statute of Religious Freedom, a bill that became law 225 years ago, almost to the day. We here at the university are grateful for the support and efforts related to this event given to us by the Fredericksburg Council for the Virginia Statute of Religious Freedom. My personal appreciation also extends to our very own Department of Classics, Philosophy and Religion, who played a major role in bringing us the program tonight. Again, thank you for coming out, and I hope you enjoy the program.
Thank you, President Hurley. My name is Mary Beth Matthews. I'll be serving as moderator this evening. We're fortunate to have two eminent scholars join us for a dialogue on Thomas Jefferson's Statute for Religious Freedom. The statute, which you've already heard is printed in your programs, established religious liberty, not just religious toleration, here in Virginia, and served as a model for the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Thomas Jefferson reportedly began work on this statute here in Fredericksburg, and we would like to think that he would heartily approve of an interreligious dialogue on the notion of religious liberty. As you've heard, we've been celebrating this for 9 years now. And this year we've decided to ask our speakers rather to speak about religious liberty in our lives today, to discuss the statute and their traditions, interpretations of it. I'd like to take just a moment to introduce our speakers in order of their appearance. Seyyed Hossein Nasr is originally from Tehran. He received his undergraduate degree in physics and mathematics at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and his PhD in the history of science and philosophy from Harvard University. An accomplished scholar, he has written extensively, over 50 books and 500 articles on Persian philosophy, Islamic history, Islamic philosophy, Islamic theology, and Islamic art. He is currently University Professor of Islamic Studies at the George Washington University. In the early 1970s, he became the first chancellor and founder of Ara Mer University in Tehran, which I'm told is known as the MIT of Iran. He is now routinely acknowledged as the foremost authority on Islam and the West. So please join me in welcoming him. I'd also like to introduce Professor Marty, who stands alone in the field of American religious studies. He is the author of more than 50 books, hundreds of papers, and literally thousands of columns and editorials. Marty served on the faculty of the University of Chicago for 35 years. He is now the Fairfax M. Cone Distinguished Service Professor Emeritus, and he founded the Marty Center to provide a home to scholars interested in what Marty calls public religion, encouraging scholars and the wider public to engage each other in questions of religion around the world. Professor Marty. And in the academic version of a coin toss that happened backstage, Professor Nasr will go first, followed by Professor Marty. We will have some dialogue amongst ourselves, and then we'll open it up to questions from the audience. I'd like to encourage you, when you ask your questions, to do so in a spirit of civility and brevity, please. We don't want diatribes, we'd like a dialogue. Thank you.
President Hurley, Professor Marty, my old friend and colleague, dear friends, it's always a pleasure to visit this institution. I belong to the husband institution a few miles away. After George Washington University and Mary Washington, I should be very close together for historical reasons. And when my dear friend, Dr. Mehdi Amin Razavi, asked me to participate in this program, I was first of all very surprised that they had asked to have a Muslim view on Thomas Jefferson. This is the first time I think it has ever happened in this country. And I accepted with great pleasure. I believe this to be a matter of very great significance, not only for historical reasons, but because, primo, first of all, the thought of Thomas Jefferson is still alive today in America in a very profound way. Secondly, because of the presence and also confrontation and also friendship, all of these go together, of the United States with the various parts of the Islamic world, and the presence of the ideas of Jefferson as an American agenda in the Islamic world, and thirdly, because of the innate significance of his thought. We all know that Thomas Jefferson had a copy of the Quran. It was recently used when a Muslim member of Congress was sworn in from Minnesota. We know that he wrote copious notes on it and commentaries, which unfortunately I've never read. I wish I had. I've never had it at my disposal, and no Muslim scholar has ever really studied them. We know that Thomas Jefferson wrote thousands of letters, most of which remain unknown until about 20 years ago when his will was broken and these letters began to be published. Apparently there are a lot of references to his interest in Islam in these letters, but again, as far as my limited knowledge goes, they have not been studied at all. There's no book called Jefferson and Islamic Thought, but it's a subject of cogency and significance, because apparently Thomas Jefferson, more than people think, was interested in certain aspects of Islam, and what he had to present is of interest both as a set point of view, from the point of criticism and from the point of view of coordination and harmonization with certain aspects of Islamic thought. I think that before I begin, there are three crucial questions that a Muslim would ask about Jefferson himself. First of all, what Jefferson represented and what the founding fathers represented